Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video, we're going to ask the question, was this done on purpose or was this climate change? So now, guys, obviously we're going to talk about what's going on in Hawaii, right? Maui, the island of Maui, rather, sorry, where there was a horrendous forest fire or wilderness fire, if you will, or wildfire, and 100 people as of today were confirmed dead. Now, they're saying the number is going to go up. They also said that 1,000 people were missing. Hopefully, the missing number comes down and the death toll stays at 100 or a little above. But if 1,000 people are dead, that's a lot of people. Now, currently, right now, as far as death tolls go, this is one of the highest death tolls wildfires they had in over 100 years. And again, guys, we're asking a question, was it done on purpose or was it climate change? Because that's the two things we keep hearing now. We keep hearing from the conspiracy theory side that it was climate change, and we hear from the other conspiracy theory side that it was done intentional, and a heavy conspiracy theory that I'm going to get into a little bit. Now, I'm going to ask a question later on in the video. Do me a favor, when I ask that question, respond to it in the comment section, obviously, and let's get to it. A lot of us in this community are paying attention to what's going on in Hawaii. And Hawaii, like I said, had one of the, probably one of their biggest wildfires they've ever seen, and the most deaths that the United States has ever seen in a wildfire as of right now. And the number is going to go up. Like I said, it was 100 confirmed. That's today, but obviously it's going to go up probably an hour from now, or, you know, the next day, whatever it is. Now, only 25% of the affected fire area has been searched. That means they're most likely, undoubtedly, going to find more bodies, especially that they only have 25% of it searched. People had to escape this fire, guys, by jumping into the ocean, right? So there's video of people hanging out in the water, looking at their state, if you will, or their state, town, city burn. And that is probably like the wildest shit I've seen or heard in a long time. Now, clearly, guys, there's been wildfires here in the United States. We know that. And mainland, that is, here in the United States. We've seen fires. We've seen guys, hot shots, or heard stories of hot shots jumping into lakes or creeks or whatever it is to survive a firestorm. Now, I'm not sure if they had a firestorm or not. I'm going to go on the suspicions that they did. That's why a lot of these people ended up in the ocean. And they're also getting away from the heat, guys. Whenever there's a wildfire, whenever there's that amount of fire, because you had a lot of homes that were on fire as well, when you have that amount of fire, the heat is unbearable. I'm talking about probably a football field away, and you still can't be close enough to it because it's going to drive you back even further. So a football field away is still too close. So you have to go probably back 2 or 3. And even at 5 or 6 football field lengths away, you're still going to feel that heat. So just imagine, guys, that these people had to turn around and jump into the ocean to get away from the heat and the smoke and the fire itself. Now, most people, guys, they die from smoke inhalation, not so much burning. So whenever you see somebody, a crispy critter, we like to call them in the industry, if you will, whenever you see somebody who's burnt, normally they died from smoke inhalation before they get burned. So a lot of the people, if they find people in their homes, they're most likely going to be dead from smoke inhalation. And not hopefully, but I mean, if their home burned down, that sucks. If it didn't, it still sucks because they're dead and they died from smoke inhalation. The smoke inhalation is possibly the worst way to die, or one of the worst way to die, because you're choking to death. And if there's an immense amount of heat behind that smoke, now your lungs are searing. Now, when your lungs sear and your throat seared, depends on how hot it is, it's going to dictate how fast you die, right? So obviously you want it to be really hot if you're going to die really fast. But, guys, a lot of those people, unfortunately, were tortured to death because smoke and choking on smoke and succumbing to smoke sucks too, right? You might not burn alive, but you're running out of air. Now, I know a lot of people are saying they've never seen a neighborhoods or neighborhoods like this burn before. A lot of people forget about Breezy Point in New York during Hurricane Sandy. Now, Breezy Point during Hurricane Sandy, a lot of the neighborhood, if not all of that neighborhood, burned to the ground. And I remember watching that on TV going, holy shit, man, that's a lot of fire for that neighborhood. Now, with Breezy Point, it was an electrical issue. So if I'm not mistaken, they were looking to turn the power back on, and this was after the storm. They turned the power back on, and something was left on, and that ignited the fire. And with the winds whipping, obviously it spread a lot faster than it should have. And it was during the storm. Sorry, it wasn't after the storm. It was during the storm this fire was going on, because the company, my old company, 19 Truck, they responded out there, all the way out in, what is that, Breezy Point, Rockaways, right? They responded all the way to the Rockaways. It's called being relocated. And they get out there, and they get stuck in floodwaters. So they couldn't go anywhere. And I remember them talking about hearing shit on the radio about the fire going on. And a lot of people couldn't get to it because it was flooded. So you had flooding in the same area as fire. That's like some end of the world shit. Now, here's some interesting facts about the Maui fire. A lot of people are saying that it was intentionally set. Some people were saying that it was, and I'm going to get into the heavy conspiracy theory. And other people, liberals, are saying it was climate change. All right. We have all of that. But here are the facts. Now, the neighborhood heavily affected by the fires was called Lahaina, right? Lahaina, if I'm saying that right. And that area, guys, they had just recently won a court battle about not having high-rises built in their area, because that's a historical area. I think all of Hawaii is considered historic, but the other spots more than others. So anyway, they were looking to put high-rises and new businesses and shit like that in the area, and they won the court case, and that got turned down, meaning no high-rises being built, no new businesses, and so on and so forth. Interestingly enough, when you hear about this, you look at it now and you go, interesting that there's a fire in the same area that they wanted to build high-rises. What better way, guys, to land grab than start a fire, or use the opportunity of this fire to now grab the land and build the high-rises you want. Now, Maui and Oahu's another island. Both of these islands, there's a list of islands actually that are on the list of becoming smart cities or smart islands, however you want to look at it. And Maui is one of them right now that's starting a program, was looking to start a program called the Jumpstart Maui. Pretty sure that's Jumpstart Oahu and the rest of those other islands. But this one's called Jumpstart Maui. And it's a EV/power grid initiative to have pretty much everybody in the island drive around in an EV car, an electric car, and have the power bank or the charging station, the EV car charging station, in your home. And this is supposed to help them roll over into a smart city a lot easier. This is the first step that they're looking to take. Now, you guys can look up this Jumpstart program yourself. I'm going to put a link to it in the description section below. You guys got to take a look at it. But again, guys, all of these things that were rolling out, all of these things that were being fought against, because again, a lot of Hawaiians are not digging this fucking new age shit. Just the higher echelon Hawaiians, the rich and the politicians, but the rest of Hawaiians, those that are still attached and connected to their tribe, if you will, their land, the heart of their land, those people are not about that shit. So interestingly enough, they're going to have more lawsuits and more fights every step of the way. And I feel like we're going to see more of these accidental climate change fires every step of the way. Now, the United Nations has an agenda called the Sustainable Development Goals. This is an agenda where they want countries around the world to be sustainable via solar, electricity, EV cars, smart cities, 15-minute cities they call them, or 20-minute cities, depending on who you talk to. They want to initiate this, or have this initiated and running at full speed, if you will, in 2030. This came out of their mouth, not mine. They want this up and running by 2030. Now, a lot of you know what the 2030, 2050 agenda is. If you notice, guys, everything out of the United Nations, everything out of the WEF, World Economic Forum, you hear the 2 years, 2030, 2050. Not 2045, not 2037, 2030 and 2050. Take notes of those 2 years every time they talk about a sustainable initiative for countries and or states. Now, the governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, who's a doctor because he has an MD after his name, he spoke at the United Nations at this Sustainable Development Goal conference that they had 4 weeks ago. I think it was July 19th or 18th in New York City. 4 weeks ago, he has this conversation. He's talking about how Hawaii is going to start leading the way and is leading the way in the whole fight against climate change. That was 4 weeks ago. Again, then you have a big lawsuit or a case where they wanted to make part of La Haina and build high-rises and new age businesses and things like that. All of this, guys, is not a coincidence. Now, there is a side of me that think, all right, maybe just by dumb luck, a fire was started accidentally and the winds carried it. But a hurricane that was supposedly 800 miles away and then have hurricane-sustained winds doesn't make sense to me, at least to me. But I'm also not a meteorologist, so I can't really speak on it. But I just think that that story's not jiving. A hurricane 800 miles away, but Hawaii suffering through hurricane-force winds. That, again, it doesn't jive. And when something's not jiving, guys, and something's not making sense, often enough, it's bullshit there. Now, the big rumor, right, the big conspiracy theory, the heavy conspiracy theory that's being talked about is an energy weapon. Now, there's one guy on Instagram, I think, he's sitting there going, look, guys, it looks like a bomb went off. This guy's not a fireman. This guy's never been around a fire, apparently. That is exactly what a fire that has hurricane-force winds look like. First of all, that fire, guys, turns into a blowtorch when you have wind that heavy. Hell, you don't even have to have hurricane-force winds. You just need winds at, 20, 30 miles an hour. 20, 30 miles an hour for it to be a blowtorch effect. Never mind hurricane-sustained winds. So that's why I look like that. The energy weapon, there's no real proof of it, though the technology does exist. I know that the United States, Russia, China, and the bigger countries were working on developing energy weapons. That doesn't mean it was used here. So we have to be careful about, again, saying that it was. We don't know. I would like to sit there and I would think it could be. It very well could have been started. But an energy weapon, guys, used on this country doesn't make sense to me when we could have used it in other countries. And yes, our government is super nefarious and they like to fuck the American people every chance they get. But to use an energy weapon to that degree because they lost the lawsuit doesn't make sense to me. It's about to rain. By the way, I'm in Langhorne, PA, visiting my mother, so I'm around like old people and, mothballs and shit. But anyway, not the point. The point is, guys, is that it's good to entertain conspiracy theories, absolutely. But we shouldn't go all in and we shouldn't start running around repeating it. We should go, I heard that the possibility of an energy weapon was used and not an energy weapon was used. There is zero proof. And I feel, guys, that the left, the elites, are leaking this shit out to make us conservatives look stupid by repeating the shit we're hearing from other people, because I think a lot of those people are government plants, if you will. They're out there, they go to conservative sites and they start pushing a narrative that doesn't exist, that has no proof behind it, and we start believing it and we start looking like assholes. We got to be very careful about that. Now, officially, guys, no one knows how the fire was started, but they know that it wasn't intentional. I love the fact that they sit there, we don't know how it started or where it started, but we know it wasn't intentional. Automatically, guys, when they start saying something isn't so, but they don't know the other side of that answer, again, there's bullshit there. And if there's bullshit there, they're lying, and if they're lying, they're covering something up. Now, it could have very well been some freak nature bullshit. It could have been a fucking cigarette for all we know. Or it could have been an energy weapon, but the likeliness of an energy weapon is very, very low. It could have been said intentionally, but we need proof on that instead of just going out there and saying it. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.